Today we're going to be making a roulade. The first step is boning the rabbit. Started with a 2¼ pound fryer we got from a local farm stand. And we'll remove it from the package and open it up. First step is removing the legs. The forelegs are easy. You just slip the knife behind the shoulder blade and work your way forward. There's a little fat around the shoulder, you can trim that off. You get both front legs off. You'll work the hind legs. Trim any fat you find off the carcass. You'll see it laying around the shoulders, along the back. You can fold the carcass open. If it's been in the refrigerator, it's going to be a little stiff. And open it up like that. Just pull those legs out. We're going to spread it. And then you need to follow the pelvis and kind of work your way back to the head of the femur, right where it joins at the hip. It's a little bit more work than the forelegs. Once you get it separated like that, you can give it a twist. That'll break the ligaments and connecting tissues. And then just work your knife in behind the head of the femur, which you'll be able to pull out a little bit from the socket there at the hip. And it should come right off. The liver, you need to examine. If you're going to use that liver, you want to take the bile duct out. And you'll set the legs aside for barbecuing later. You find the kidneys still inside at the back of the abdominal cavity, and you can kind of work them out with your knife. Be careful not to puncture them, and you'll find a layer of fat there and some veins that you can take out as well. The kidneys can be saved for barbecuing later. You can just roast them on a skillet. Heart's the same way. You'll find that in the cavity as well. You want to get that all cleared out. Any junk that's laying around left over from cleaning. There you go. Just examine it. Work that heart out, and you'll find some connective tissue from the throat and that sort of thing. Then take a knife and work it up along right through to the neck opening and cut along the edge of the sternum to separate the ribs so you can open the chest cavity out. You want to flatten that carcass out. Just kind of push it open and then flip it over so the belly's down, and again push it down so it's flat. You'll hear the ribs snapping a little bit. Trim off that fat by the shoulders. And then you're going to start cutting down by the tail, right along the spine. Just make an incision all the way up to the neck. So there's an incision all along one side of the spine from one end to the other. Then working from the tail forward, just kind of tease the meat away from the bone. Just put the knife at a shallow angle and work it down. And when you get up to the ribs, what you're going to do is slide that knife along the ribs. So there you go. We've got the back part pretty much separated. The pelvis is kind of touchy. You want to avoid any bone fragments. Make sure it's boneless meat when you get done. There you go. Just tease that meat away from the ribs. Just kind of work it down. And it'll start to come loose. You'll end up with this long, flat slab of meat. There'll be some holes in it. Don't worry about that. Just kind of work it free all the way down one side. There you go. You can see it coming loose there. There it goes. So once you've got that loose, you'll set it aside. Just kind of check with your fingers to make sure you don't have any rib fragments there. A lot of times where the ribs have broken, they'll want to come loose, and you want to make sure the knife is above them and separating the meat from them, so you don't get those fragments in your boned meat. There we go. That's one side. Okay, so now we'll start on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and leave this in the video so you can see it from a different angle. But again, starting down towards the tail, making that incision, just cutting along the spine, working the meat free from the pelvis. Get up towards the abdominal cavity is a little easier because there's nothing there really. A lot of good meat. Watch your fingers. And then slide the knife at an oblique angle right along the ribs, just teasing that meat away. Just kind of work carefully and patiently from the back to the top. And there we go. And you can see it starting to come loose from those ribs. Carefully getting it free from all the ribs. Need a nice sharp knife. Something with a thin blade works here. This is actually a fish fillet knife that I've had for years. It works great. And there's the other half. Now there's one more piece of meat on this. It's the tenderloin. It'll be a thick strip of meat along the inside of the abdominal cavity, right up against the spine. It's pretty easy to remove. You want to get that. That's good meat. And then you'll be left with a carcass that you can boil from broth if you like rabbit broth, or you can feed it to your chickens for a little added protein in their diet. And there you have it. One boned rabbit. The legs have some meat on them. You can bone the thighs if you want to. I didn't do that. I'm saving them for barbecue.